Show 870 as we get ready for a national championship tonight just down the road in Atlanta. And us in the SEC are not there, but our buddy Josh Pate is over in Atlanta on a cold day. Boy, I'm glad this one's indoors. I know all these people that want to play football up north in the playoffs. To hell with you.
Open the roof, man.
To hell with you guys. I'm glad it's indoors tonight.
Josh Pate joins us from Atlanta at Josh Pate CFB, the Josh Pate College Football Show. 3 nights a week right there on YouTube. What is up, Pate? How are you, my friend?
I don't know if you'll believe this, but I kept the heat on 72 last night. I had, by all accounts, a normal night of sleeping. I woke up this morning. Granted, we're on the 60th floor of the Westin. That's as specific as I can get. There's ice on the inside of the windows here.
Woo!
The inside, not on the outside. The outside's okay. Like Dunaway said, I think Brett McMurphy reported a little while ago they're going to do Tampa again for the 2029 game. I don't even like being outdoors in Tampa in January. So can you imagine what kind of sadistic mind would want this thing played? Like I can see Grant Field over at Georgia Tech from where I'm sitting. Who would want to play football over there today?
I'll go ahead and tell you, the one that was in Tampa was cold.
Yeah, I remember. I didn't even make it. It was
a
a Clemson-Alabama game, and I don't know why the infatuation. I brought this up with the Super Bowl, Pate. I don't know the infatuation. Tampa, to me, is a shithole. I might be in the minority. I'm just not a Tampa fan at all, and I don't know why we continue to send people to Tampa for these events.
Yes, go Bucks.
I mean, games in Tampa, people from Tampa, everything Tampa. Just toss it in the hole, I guess.
Hey,
I didn't like it either. Now, look, Tampa's best friend is Santa Clara.
Oh, God.
So once the Santa Clara game happened, everything before that was gold compared to Santa Clara.
Hey, real quick before we continue, this is why you're so successful, because you're organized and you're clean and you're neat. You've made your own bed behind you, have you not?
Are you serious right now? Do you see this? I mean, what do you? Well, who do you think? This is a set. Okay, that right there is a set. This is my real life.
Okay, well, that's not terrible though. You're still figuring out what you're wearing today and stuff. I'm just saying, for you to make your own bed, that's pretty impressive.
Someone made the bed.
Okay.
Someone made sure the bed looks good. Not someone from Tampa, obviously, but someone made sure.
Hey, if I take you back a month ago, how shocked are you Notre Dame's in this situation?
Dude, take me back 3 weeks ago. I'm shocked they're in this situation. I just didn't think they'd do it. I thought they could win a game or something like that. I didn't think they could string together the games because of what the formula takes for them to win. Now, that means I picked them I picked them to beat Indiana, but I picked them to lose to Georgia. I picked them to lose to Penn State. And at every turn, they've played their style of football. My whole thing with them was I love watching your style of football. It's sort of a take-you-back style of football, but you figure there's going to come a week where that runs dry. Well, what's funny is the Penn State game was that game. They gave up 200 on the ground. Notre Dame did. They didn't win the turnover battle, and they trailed by 2 possessions. These are 3 things I thought they couldn't afford. All 3 of them happened. They still won. Now, I'm going to say the same thing tonight. I don't think you can trail by 2 possessions to Ohio State. I don't think you can lose the turnover battle. You certainly can't give them 200 on the ground. But them getting here, regardless of whether they get beat by 50 tonight, is fairly shocking to me. I will admit that.
Why was the Michigan loss such a wake-up call that Ryan Day said to Chip Kelly, hey, sling it around the yard? I don't understand why they didn't play like this all season long. Why they tried to play in a phone booth against Michigan. Why they struggled in some other games offensively. Why have they not looked like the way they've looked in the postseason offensively since August?
Well, I'll tell you my theory on that. So I went up there in the spring. This was after they had lost 3 consecutive to Michigan. And Ryan Day, his whole staff actually, they were really brutally honest about it. And the message I took away from them was, we're Ohio State. There's no reason we should ever get pushed around. There's no reason we should ever be the second most physical team on the field. And that's really what it cost them against Michigan. I think that what I'm trying to tell you is, in terms of a game plan, I think they had resolved in their own mind how they were going to play Michigan way back in the spring. And I thought they looked at it and they said, there is no excuse when you recruit like we do, you develop, you got the depth and whatnot, that we shouldn't be able to lean on a team harder and more effectively than Michigan ever could. So then the season plays out. They weren't exactly winning that way. They were winning the way they should win. And then they got to that game and they did, I think, what they resolved in their mind to do in the spring, and it didn't work. And the real crime is they never pivoted during the game. Only afterwards did they pivot. Now, I'm a believer if they played Michigan today, they'd beat them by 20. But that doesn't matter because that's not how the sport works. So the only difference between now and the last 3 years is the format gives them a third chance now. And they have taken that third chance and they've run with it and they've done what they should have been doing all year. So credit for doing what you should have always been doing eventually. But that leads me to tonight. So let's say they lose tonight. Let's say the upset does happen. The $1 million question is, how do Ohio State fans look at it? Because you could look at it and you could say, well, it was a better year than we've been having. Yeah, we fell short, but man, we can't forget the Tennessee win. We can't forget the Oregon win. We can't forget the Texas win. That's fair. That's probably rational. But you could also look at it and say, you're telling me we didn't win the Big Ten again. We didn't beat Michigan again. We didn't win a national championship again. And the only reason we even got to play those 3 games is because the format changed and it expanded and we got an opportunity we previously wouldn't have gotten. So what's the difference in this year's team and previous teams? I could see a nice solid subset of the Ohio State fan base feeling that way, which is why, and this is free advice, I highly encourage Ohio State to try and win the game tonight.
Josh Pate is with us at Josh Pate CFB on social media is where you find him. The Josh Pate College Football Show every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, 7 o'clock Central Time. You get that on YouTube. Download it wherever you get our podcast. Watch it on YouTube. Do the same thing we ask you to do for us. Subscribe, set your alerts so you know when he's live. Give his work a thumbs up there. We appreciate when you do that for us and when you do that for our friends like Josh Pate. Dunaway was just talking about this Jim Knowles story, though. It appears that he is in line to be Brent Venables' defensive coordinator at Oklahoma. You guys asked him about it during the media availabilities, and he certainly did not distance himself from it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I'll tell you what you should go research. Not just Jim Knowles and how good a coordinator has he been, because he's been a really good one. Jim Knowles has defended Steve Sarkisian offenses as well as anybody in America, going back to his time at Oklahoma State and now his time in Columbus when they just faced him. He has pretty well owned Steve Sarkisian. I don't have the exact numbers. Well, they're on my phone somewhere, but I was actually researching that the other day in preparation for this move potentially happening. That's Brent Venables. If they make that move, knowing exactly what he's doing, knowing exactly how he gets graded as a coach, and knowing exactly who he's got to go through to get where they want to go if you're in Norman.
So I brought this up, though, Josh. You've got Tom Allen now going from Penn State to Clemson to coach with Dabo, and the reports are he will not have to go on the road recruiting. Whether that happens or not, we'll see. Do you see this as a trend for guys that are a little bit up in age like Jim Knowles or Tom Allen who have been doing it a while? Because everybody's talking about this calendar pushing coaches to the NFL. If I could take the on-the-road recruiting off your plate, hand it to a younger guy, might that entice these guys to make moves like that?
Yeah. The moment, I think I even may have been on this show. Remember when they passed the rule where you could have unlimited on-field coaches in the practice periods? That was a game changer. I don't know if college football stumbled into doing that, but they did something really, really key and really instrumental there, because what it afforded you to do is be so much more flexible with how you handle your staff. Now, if I've got Lance and I think he's a great recruiter and, maybe one day he'll be good X's and O's, but he's a great recruiter. And I got Dunaway and he's a genius X's and O's, but he hates the road and I don't want to send him out. It used to be that you had to sacrifice either one way or another to have him on staff. Now I can just have Dunaway be the coach and I can have Lance be his analyst and he gets to coach on the field Monday through Friday. So he still gets the developmental side, but I can send him out on the road and Dunaway doesn't ever have to leave the parking lot. I mean, that's a no-brainer. How do you not do that? I think there are guys right now who are already doing that. It's just not, proclaimed. It's not announced, but they're already doing that. That's a dynamic that's probably kept them around. I don't know. I don't want to list names because I'll forget some, but I know there are guys doing that right now. They've already started to take advantage of that, and I think that's something that'll be a little more publicly understood in the year or years to come.
Marcus Freeman 7-0 this year. It's amazing he's got to play for a national championship, but more amazingly, we talked about this last week on the show, Pate. He has made Notre Dame likable. Notre Dame was the most hated brand in all of football. I know they haven't won a championship since 1988, but even the old school college football fan now is able to stomach Notre Dame. Like most people can't stand Ryan Day, but for whatever reason, people love Marcus Freeman in Notre Dame now.
Well, it's because Marcus hadn't been around long enough. You let him be around long enough, He is a very good-looking, confident, charismatic guy. Those people are only likable until they start winning. And then they're not likable anymore for society. Like, I like Ryan Day fine, and most folks hate Ryan Day. So I think that's coming. It's a consequence of success. But think about this. So you were talking about how long it's been since Ohio State or Notre Dame won a title. You know, the Berlin Wall has fallen since Notre Dame last won a championship. Like, that's how long ago
My
that was.
gosh. Yeah.
Hold On by Wilson Phillips was still being written the last time Notre Dame won.
Hey,
a title.
Taylor Swift wasn't alive.
I know.
Yeah.
I like Hold On probably more than I should. I'll go ahead and admit it.
If you like it at all, then you do.
No, that's a good tune. I am not going to apologize because I'll get judged by these two. That's a good song by Wilson Phillips.
That was the song I edited a video for the 1988 Montevallo Lady Falcons basketball team.
No, don't admit that.
And that was the song I used for their highlight
It
video.
was okay when they brought it back for Bridesmaids, but that was it.
And Dunaway, just not to get too sidetracked, which editing software was used for that cut?
You could tell by my use of the beta tape right there. It was old school beta tape.
Yeah, it was chalk, splice and cut. Grease pencil.
Where was I going? I'm sure I was going. Oh, yeah. So think about this. So we don't have to go back that far. Let's say we were to go back 8 years. That gets us into the late 20-teens. Were you guys like me in that you thought Notre Dame is a very prominent brand, and you can't tell the history of college football without telling the story of Notre Dame? However, the sport has kind of left them behind. It's kind of evolved beyond Notre Dame in terms of the national championship picture. Like, I never, ever thought that we would be talking about Notre Dame national championship conversations down the road. And that's even when they got in the playoff. Like, there was such a difference in them getting to Miami to play Bama versus ever having a shot to beat Bama, or making the playoff against Bama and Clemson versus ever winning against them and going to the title game. They're playing for a title tonight. So think about how much things had to shift, which had previously been away from them, back towards them a little ways. Like the changes around college football that everyone thought may benefit the G5, or it may benefit this conference or this brand. Notre Dame all of a sudden has the sport funneling back to it. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think Marcus Freeman and the Irish will just be here every year, but I'm a whole lot more sold that this is sustainable and they'll be in the conversation than I ever would have been just like, I don't know, 36 months ago, 48 months ago.
Left tackle is a redshirt freshman making his first start of the season for Notre Dame tonight. How big of a factor does that end up being in the game?
Huge. I was talking to Kublik a few weeks ago. He was at, I can't remember which game he was at, but he was texting me saying, hey, do you know Jagasaw is actually down here warming up? Because everyone assumed he was done for the season. And he's down there, he's dressed, he's warming up, and now, lo and behold, a few weeks later, he's got to start at an unfamiliar position for the national championship game. But let me take you back to week one. I think most people remember being really excited that Notre Dame was going to College Station to face Texas A&M, week one. And do you remember what every prediction consisted of? Every prediction I heard, including mine, was Notre Dame's a nice, solid program. A&M got a brand new head coach in Mike Elko. Expect big things from him in the future. But in the immediate future, they've got home field advantage, primetime game in week one. And what did Notre Dame have to do? They had to take an inexperienced offensive line with a true freshman left tackle into Kyle Field. That's going to swallow them up. And they went in there and won by 10, I think. Since then, even that freshman's done for the year, so they've had to backfill the guys that were already backfilling, and the performance has just been there all year. The performance level has been there. It's almost like, I know it doesn't work this way, but it almost feels like the unit of the Notre Dame offensive line is independent of who's wearing the helmet, which it doesn't make any logical sense. And it could all come crumbling in on them tonight, like that this could be the red light finally. But I've expected it so frequently this year. They have had so many headlines scroll across the bottom of the screen, Notre Dame so-and-so out for the year, that made me go, nope, that's it. That just put a ceiling on what they can accomplish this year. And they're 4 quarters away from accomplishing the most you could possibly accomplish in a season. So maybe it implodes in on them tonight. I, of course, think it matters a lot. I hate their prospects against Ohio State's front, but I've hated their prospects against a front before, and it didn't matter.
He is Josh Pate. He is host of the Josh Pate College Football Show. You get it on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. It's 3 times a week. Go follow him on social media where he always promotes. Most of the time, he thinks it's going to be a good show. He'll tell you that at Josh Pate CFB. He does. He says, reports are tonight's a good show. He'll tell you that. Yeah.
So much stuff that he can't get it all in. Usually.
I know most of the time, but he gives it an effort. Pate, thank you very much for the time. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll see you soon.
Gentlemen, I appreciate it as always.
All right, buddy. Take care. That is Josh Pate with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.